Welcome to setting up IntelliSense using Visual Studio Code for Python. So the very first thing I want to do is install Visual Studio's code, and I can get that by just Googling it and then downloading the installer and just kind of going through the prompt and doing the standard installation of Visual Studio's code. The next part I want to do is make sure that I got Python installed on my machine. And I'll go ahead and get the right type for the machine that I'm using here, which is just a Windows. And I'll go ahead and just use the regular installation for Python for Windows. All right, now that that's set up, the next thing I want to show you is that it's actually in the program files here that you'll find my Python. And sometimes it'll be under a folder called Python, or you can put it in a folder called Python. But this will be important for setting up my Visual Studio um, uh, settings. The next thing I want to do is get the IronPython stub, which is actually the IntelliSense for the Revit um, database and UI. And I'll just go ahead and download it or clone it, and it'll send a download in a zip file. And I want to actually copy this folder of the Python stub into a location. That way, when I set up my Visual Studios, it'll find it. And it'll be in C user my name or your name, and under .vs code. And I'll go ahead and copy the folder from the zip file here. And I'll have to remember the path because this will also be part of my settings inside of Visual Studio. So here's Visual Studios, and I'll go ahead and just open up a project that I've been kind of putting together for samples of different Autodesk um, projects. So if you notice, if I do Autodesk dot, there's no IntelliSense at the end of it. So it doesn't understand what Autodesk is. So what I really want to do is have it know that when I hit Autodesk dot, it'll give me database or Revit or something. So I'll go ahead and under view extensions, um, I'll go ahead and view here extensions. I want to use the Python. So first thing I want to do is I want to get the Python IntelliSense and download it from the extension. So I'll just go ahead and install that. I already have it installed, so it's already on my machine. But when you see this, you'll be able to install it. The next thing I want to do is I want to get the preference settings, and this here on the left hand side is the standard settings. On the right hand side is going to be anything that I want to override, and I can search things. So the first thing I want to do is the Python lightning enabled, which basically is just kind of flagging anything that looks unstandard for Revit programming, which will actually just kind of be looking through my code, making sure that the debugger will work. And I want to go ahead and set that to true. The next thing that I want to do here is install or override the Python Lightning PEP 8 enabler, which is a formatting style, and I think you might be able to set this to true. I'm just going to set it to false. The next part, it will be the path, and this is the path where my Python code was installed, or the executable is installed. And I'll go ahead and find or copy and paste that path, which is C programs program files Python .exe, and I'll go ahead and show you where that's at. Like I said, sometimes this gets copied into a folder, so just double check to make sure you know where that path is. And the next thing I'm going to be looking for is the Python python.autocomplete.preload modules, which is going to include my Revit API database and UI. So I'll go ahead and insert it between the two brackets here, and I'll just go ahead and copy and paste both the APIs into here. And hopefully in the future, somebody else will build a package that'll include the Dynamo, you know, core geometry and other things like that. But the very last thing I want to do is get the Python .autocomplete .extra path, which will be the stub or stubs.min, which is the folder that we copied into our project of .core. So under the Visual Studios here code, you'll find the Python code, and in here you'll find the stub.min, and that should be enough for our compiler to be able to use the IntelliSense. Now, the IntelliSense is somewhat limited, and hopefully in the future somebody will actually find a way to include more things. I always like to close it down, let it refresh, just to kind of capture everything. You may not actually need to do that, but I always just like to kind of close things down. But here we go. From Autodesk, so when I hit the dot, it should give me the IntelliSense of finding the design script in the Revit. I've hit the dot and I'll find the database here. So now I have the IntelliSense from the database and UI from the Revit API. Like I said, this is kind of a starting point for getting your IntelliSense for this, but it's helpful because the IDE that comes with Dynamo is limiting. It's always nice to be able to use a little bit of IntelliSense. Anyways, thank you for watching. For more videos, please subscribe.